Hello everyone, today we're going to be talking about this idea right here. Truth can only be tolerated if you discover it yourself. This is an idea conceptualized by a man named Fritz Perls. He was a psychotherapist, a psychologist in the 1940s. And he developed a psychotherapy called Gestalt therapy. Anyway, that's not important. The important part is the idea, right? So let's get at this idea. Truth can only be tolerated if you discover it yourself. What does he mean? Well, I'm going to read from this book. People believe that their viewpoint of the world is the objective truth. We all know this, we all experience this. But human experiences are colored by the personal lenses we view them through, right? I don't know if you've ever seen that picture where there's 4 prongs on the one side and it leads to 3 prongs on the other side. It's a visual illusion. And then the person on the one side says, no, there's 3 prongs. And then the other person says, no, there's 4. They're both right. But their viewpoint, they think, is the objective truth. As it is our perception that shapes our experience, it is possible to change our inner realities and ultimately our external realities, right? Through our minds. We must discard the given values of society and family and discover our own true values. We become aware that we are building our own world, our truth. Therefore, truth can only be tolerated if you discover it yourself. So that's the general idea. But there's a lot more to this idea than meets the eye, because this became one of the most influential ideas in psychology for a long time. This is actually what led to a lot of what psychotherapists do today, because we have to look at how we view the world and our perceptions and whether or not they're correct. That can largely be attributed to this guy. Not just him, a lot of other people, but him most prominently, at least arguably, right? One of the most influential ideas that this guy came up with was this idea of what language we use, right? If we say, I can't do that, or that's too difficult, right? That is disempowering language. And the reason we use that is because it defends us. It's easier to say that than to confront the uncomfortable truth that we're running away. It says here, rephrasing I can't do that to I won't do that, it becomes clear that I am making a choice, right? And that's all over psychology today. So you can see how this has influenced psychology 50 years later. This was 50 years ago. So another idea that this guy came up with that's extremely useful, that if people knew this, there would be a lot less problems in the world today if people knew this, right? When we become aware of ourselves, right? Like these Buddhist monks. Look at these guys. They sit there all day thinking. What do you think they're doing? They're becoming aware of who they are and what they think and what others think. And they reflect on it. And they ask themselves questions. If more people just sat around and thunk and didn't do things, they just sat there thinking about things, the world would be in a better place. Because when we become more aware of who we are, that enables us to become more authentic. And when we become more authentic, we live better lives. Because we know what we want, we're aware of our own faults and failures, we're aware of what we don't know about other people's perspectives. And on top of all of that, if you're more authentic, then you can have more authentic relationships with people, right? I'm sure you've come across situations in your life where this has been precisely the problem. You know, you're engaging with someone, but they're not really engaging with you. They're just trying to dismiss you, or they're just trying to brush you aside, all of that stuff. It's because they're not aware of what they're doing. If they were aware, they would realize how foolish they look, and they would realize how many problems they're causing in their own relationship with you, right? Friends, family members, colleagues, whoever, right? It completely goes past them because they're not aware of what they're doing. So that's another very influential idea. And I think the last thing I'm going to cover is this idea. This is called the Gestalt prayer. That's written right here. I'm going to read it and then I'm going to explain it. I do my goodness gracious. I do my thing and you do your thing. I am not in this world to live up to your expectations, and you are not in this world to live up to mine. You are you and I am I. And if by chance we find each other, it's beautiful. If not, it can't be helped. Right? So, what I expect of the world doesn't mean anything, right? If I expect, this is what it means. It means this. It means that whatever the world does, if it doesn't meet my expectations, that's suddenly a bad thing, right? I expect for the world to give me what I want. I expect to be treated this way and that way. I expect to have this and that. And what does that do? You just set yourself up for failure. Because the only thing that you should be expecting is reality, right? You don't have to do what I want you to do. You do you. That makes sense, not only just rationally to protect yourself from disappointment, but what say do I have over your life? What do I know, right? And then this last part is very useful. This goes back 2,000 years at least, this idea. If we find each other, it's beautiful. If not, it can't be helped. Again, it's this idea of expectations. What expectations are you setting in your mind? And think about what that's doing to you and doing to the people around you. Just conceptualized, right? You interact with people every day. Imagine you expect nothing but praise from everyone all the time. You will be disappointed and depressed, and people will feel bad because interacting with you makes you depressed. So it is a lose-lose if you set your expectations in anything other than reality and optimism. And that idea is like Psychology 101. That's everywhere today. So that's it. The truth can only be tolerated if you discover it yourself.